Hey guys, what's happening? Jamie here from Unbox, and it's time to dig a little deeper to see if Lenovo's newest mid-range offering is worth its asking price. So join us for this full review of the Lenovo K8 Note. In terms of design, the Lenovo K8 Note may seem to be a little dated compared to other mid-range smartphones in the market, where we've seen other brands adapt to the current display trend. This device retains a display with a 16:9 aspect ratio, giving the device a bit of a forehead and chin. It's also a little thicker than other phones that we've handled recently, but thankfully the mostly flat rear curves just enough to make it comfortable to hold in the hand despite its heft. We're also happy to report that Lenovo hasn't sacrificed the build quality of the K8 Note, which still has a full metal build with Corning Gorilla Glass 3 protecting the display, and has even been given splash resistance in case of a bit of a spill. Most of the port and button layout on the K8 Note is pretty standard, with the exception of the dedicated music button that can be remapped to launch a different app. There may be space for a home button on the bottom bezel of the K8 Note, but they've chosen to go with capacitive keys with the fingerprint scanner of the device located below the camera module on the back. It's quick with a decent margin of error when reading prints, but it can be a little sensitive. We felt it tried to read our hands as we quickly had to fish things out of our pants pocket. Up front, the K8 Note has a full HD IPS LCD panel that measures in at 5.5 inches, giving it a pixel density of 401 pixels per inch. The image quality of the device is nice and sharp with a decent amount of saturation and contrast, typical of what you would see on an IPS display. However, we were surprised to see how bright it could get, and you definitely don't have to worry about using the device outdoors. Complementing the display is a single speaker on the bottom of the phone, and since the K8 Note has Dolby Audio on board, the sound quality is above par and you can turn up the volume without any fear of distortion. Under the hood of the Lenovo K8 Note is a deca-core processor by MediaTek, the Helio X23. It's paired up with 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage, making day-to-day tasks a breeze with room for multitasking as well. Benchmarks shouldn't be the only basis for your purchase, but in case you want to see the numbers, here they are. On Antutu, the Lenovo K8 Note got a score of 89,740, while running Geekbench on the device gave it a single-core score of 1,191 and a multi-core score of 4,607, numbers you would typically see on a mid-range device. For gaming, the K8 Note and its processing package would actually do quite well if it wasn't for one major caveat. It's in this department that you can see and feel one of the device's major pain points that a lot of reviewers have been pointing out as well. The K8 Note has a bit of a heating issue, which throttles the performance of the device when playing graphically intensive games. As far as software goes though, the K8 Note gets a plus with a nearly stock version of Android Nougat with a promise to be updated to Oreo in the near future. Let's talk about its shooters. The Lenovo K8 Note has dual rear cameras. The main camera is at 13 megapixels with an aperture of f1.7 with a secondary 5 megapixel depth sensor that helps produce that bokeh effect. It gets the job done if you have a decent light source, but colors tend to look a little washed out and leans towards the warmer side of things in terms of white balance. The focus can be a little hit or miss as well, so make sure you take a couple of safety shots. The bokeh mode isn't quite as clean as other devices we've handled in the past, and turning this feature on or even HDR mode gives the device a ton of shutter lag, which they'll hopefully fix with a few software tweaks in the future. The 13 megapixel front camera also does a decent job at taking selfies, but as usual, photos are better with the right lighting conditions, although it does have a front-facing flash. Our other pain point with the Lenovo K8 Note is its battery life. While it can typically last an entire workday before going kaput, its 4000 mAh battery should have lasted a lot longer. The Helio X23 is a bit of a juice guzzler, with the device clocking it at 7 hours and 22 minutes using PCMark's battery benchmark, which is even lower than other devices with a 3000 mAh battery. Thankfully, the K8 Note supports turbocharging, but it'll still take you about 2 hours to get it fully topped up. So, is the Lenovo K8 Note worth its price tag? Well, if you plan on treating the device like a handheld console, then we would definitely advise you to maybe consider a different phone because of the heating issues and the lasting power of the device's battery. But if you plan to use the K8 Note for day-to-day tasks or to consume media, then it may be worth considering, but we suggest pulling the trigger soon while it's still available at a discounted price on Lazada. And that's pretty much it for this full review of the Lenovo K8 Note. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications. If you have any questions about the K8 Note, leave them in the comment section and we'll get to them as soon as we can. For all the latest tech news and gadget reviews from the Philippines, head to the website at unbox.ph and visit us on Facebook as well. This is Jamie, and I'll see you next time.